While Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 2 is finally out, I've seen the entire thing, I loved it, and just in general, I'm sure if you're here, you probably also love Stranger Things just as much as I do, so this is really much the perfect place for you guys. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below, because today's video we're going to be ranking all of Stranger Things seasons from worst to best. We have 4 seasons to talk about, and I honest to God have been waiting to do this since Volume 1 had come out, and to really much definitively bring my feelings together. And now that I've slept on Volume 2, yes, I stayed up till midnight, we're going to have a fun discussion down below in the comment section, because we're probably going to disagree, and that's okay. As well, if you're new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because I will also be having a Stranger Things best characters. I don't know if I'm going to do a tier list. I don't know if I'm just going to do my top 10. Let me know down below what you would prefer. But of course, let's dive into this ranking right now. Coming down in last place is probably going to be a lot of people's same pick, and that is Stranger Things Season 2. Now, I actually think this season is kind of a little bit more bolder than the original, but what it really comes down to, and this is what I will say for all these seasons, is this is the only Stranger Things season that immediately after I had finished like watching the entire thing, I did not go back to rewatch it. And that's where it actually makes me go as far as say this is the only season I haven't rewatched. And maybe I do need to go back and rewatch it. Maybe you would move up on this ranking. But for me, it's just, there's something about this season that falls into a lot of its sequelitis stuff. It goes bolder. It goes a little bit bigger, more gruesome, more scary, more characters, more evolutions into the Upside Down. But it also falters into some of the same story mechanics from the first season, trying to copy and double down on certain things from there. Even with all of those issues, I really do love what they were able to do with certain characters in here, especially giving us a brand new character, Sadie Sink, who I think Max really much opens up such a whole new world. Sean Astin was absolutely such a breakthrough character that was lovable and heartwarming, and really much Bob was a fantastic character. This just lacks like the special from the original season, and coming off of that, they're never going to have that same magic as the first season did. But I always feel that even Season 3 and Season 4 still had something special to it. Where in Season 2, I just look at it and I'm like, this was a solid, good season. Just not, it's like one of those sequels you watch where like, that's a good sequel. But it's not as great as everything else that they've done. But I will say Noah, who plays Will, this might still be one of his best performances. Like the whole exorcism vibes in here was fantastic. If it really much wasn't also for that one spin-off episode when Eleven just goes off, that really halts a lot of the pacing, and they really haven't touched any more on that. I don't think anymore that they will, especially after Season 4 and seeing that they didn't really touch on it at all. This was still a really solid season, but it's not the best. That's where I come down to my number 3, which this is where we're going to definitely start disagreeing. But at my number 3, it is Season 1 of Stranger Things. Now, I think, again, like I mentioned, pretty much this season and up, I think all these seasons are perfect and some of my favorite aspects of television that I've seen in the last couple of years. And Season 1, for me, when you look at it, is just a simple little story, but the impact of it was honestly just as big as how good and how massive Game of Thrones was at the time. World building is spectacular, the cast is outstanding, these kids really much became such huge talents after this first season. I do think that one of the things that holds this season so high up for so many people is the performance from Winona Ryder as Joyce, and the entire Christmas light motif, which really much, that entire sequence, all the sequences with that, put a chokehold on you in such an emotional manner, and the way that it is an absolute iconic scene for television for the rest of our lives. It's honestly really funny to look back at this season and be like, oh, it's one Demogorgon and a little bit of the Upside Down, but now that we see within Season 4 what has all been coming about this, what has been coming since the beginning, it all ties back in such a fashionably way. But Season 1, in a way, is magic. It was magical when it came out. It still is magic today. For some people, they will never hit the same lightning in a bottle like they did with this season. Even though this is my number 3, I still think this is the most special Stranger Things season since it was the first. We come down to my number 2, and my number 2 is Stranger Things Season 3. The season that I have currently rewatched the most, and a lot of that does go down to the entire summer vibe of this. They're on summer vacation, they're going to have fun, And I love this season. I think there's something special about this season, especially in the way that they really much, season 2 had some lows to it, but season 3 took the concept, ramped it back up, and just took these characters and grew them into a way that we could really come to falter in love with them, as well as giving us a brand new character within Robin. Pretty much Robin was such a great addition, especially to the Steve character, and the way that it was able to flesh out certain aspects of our society and our world during that time. But really much the reason that I feel season 3 works is because all the characters, they're not split up in any way. They're actually all together. They're coming together in a way that I feel like now they're all friends finally. They're all working together, and you really believe that these are just kids trying to move on with their lives. Even with a silly subplot with the Russians, it really pays off for the time period that they're playing around in, and then Zachary Montgomery gives a phenomenal performance as well as Billy in here for how scary he was. But the entire show and how each season really much frames a different horror vibe. Season 3 has that B-rated possession and gigantic kaiju monsters that come into play. And the whole entire battle at Starcourt Mall is still one of the best moments in Stranger Things history. And really much the only reason I would put this one under Season 4 is because I'm an emotional dude. So we're about to talk about Season 4 the entire thing. At my number 1, Stranger Things Season 4 takes the cake. And I'm ready to say that if Stranger Things Season 5 succeeds and absolutely builds on the emotion that was given to me here, because like I said, I'm an emotional dude. So, as many issues as I had a couple issues with this season, the emotion and the heart of it is still what won me over in the very end of it all. The stakes, the horror, the gruesomeness, like it went bigger and bolder, just like Season 2 had done. But what they decided to do this time was really infuse so much heart, so much emotion, and payoff that by Volume 2, when we see where all these characters end at and where the entire story ended at leading in now into Season 5, it makes me go, Season 5 is going to be one of my most anticipated pieces of television ever. Because, and it'll probably be that for a lot of different people, but for me, when looking at this entire season as a whole, and seeing how all the plots work together in harmony, especially by the end, was something that I was surprised by. Because my only issue with Volume 1, before I'd seen Volume 2, was I didn't like that all the characters were separated for so long. I wanted them back together, working together to stop Vecna. But in the end of the day, they still were all together. No matter how far separated they were, they all know how the Upside Down works, and they all know that we can come together in some way, shape, and form to help our friends in Hawkins, to help, even though we're in Russia, we can still help them. Even though we're in California, we can still help them. We can make this work. And as adorable and as amazing as all these actors are, what really works is the characters and the characters that they bring to life. And while I think maybe there are a few too many characters now, and maybe they do need to start killing some people off, the deaths in here still work. They still broke my heart. Especially, again, spoilers, if you haven't seen the new season yet, Eddie Munson ripped my heart out right when he died. Even though I knew it was coming. And while none of our main characters have died, Max is very messed up. And all these ramifications leading into now how it looks like the Upside Down is just bleeding into our world fully, that is going to bring a giant piece of it all. Because they think they defeated Vecna, but it turns out they didn't. Vecna is still out there hiding in the shadows, and what he wanted to happen has now started to happen. And that is where it leaves our heroes. In a place that we did not have them at the beginning of the season. They were all separated. But together, and I know how cheesy this sounds, together they're stronger. And we're finally getting that strength with them, and for me, that is why Season 4 takes the cake for me. I think it's such an emotional beginning of all ends to this entire show that really much was a cultural phenomenon, and I think for me, it just is the culmination of everything that is built up from Season 1 all the way to now. And that is my Stranger Things ranking. I cannot wait to see your guys' thoughts on what your ranking is, how much you probably disagree with me, and honestly look forward to that character ranking or character top 10 list, whichever way I decide to do it. But thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. More Stranger Things content coming up soon, and of course, until next time, stay classy.